Thank you for the introduction. I think we can get started. I have a lot to cover today, and people from the cohort, thank you for joining. I see already Kalpan joined, so that's all I need to care about. If Kalpan is here, Sharmishta is here, Sagar is here, that's all I needed for today's session. So I think we can get started. Thank you again for joining. This session would be really quick. Let me just share my screen, uh, and we'll give you the slide. So I will not share my screen, we'll just discuss. Uh, I will take 15-20 minutes to land, paint the picture, give you the idea or overview of the landscape, give you tools and everything, 20 to 30 minutes. And then we can stay back for 30 minutes for questions. Obviously, you're feel free to leave if you have to, because it's only 30-minute session, but at least I will cover everything. And then I think we'll take 5 minutes within 30 minutes. So I will try to stop at 8:25, and then we can take questions. And I'm happy to stay back 30, 25 minutes or so that all your questions are covered. I think questions is how we learn, and the most interesting part for me, helps me grow. So please keep sending your questions as we are going. Uh, uh, Karan will make sure that all the questions are listed, and then he will pick the questions. Plus one on questions. If you like somebody else's question, we will take most plus one questions first. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm just waiting for Achint, and Achint is here. So, and Sumitra is here. So, I think we can get started. So, Joanne, welcome new people who join, and thank you for turning on your camera. It just helps me have the feedback loop, because without it, no, I don't know I'm putting you to sleep or I'm still making sense. So, thank you for turning on your camera, Joanne. We'll take it from here. Let me share my screen, and let's get started. So today's session, we're going to discuss AI agents, and hopefully even advanced of that is multi-agent architectures. I thought we'll do it for PMs, but I thought PMs are a very good representation of how our humanity works. So I just relabeled it to everyone. So that's the idea. So what are, like, when I was writing this session, I was thinking about leverage. I think as a PM, you try to bring leverage to your teams, products, to your company, and eventually to humanity, because you're trying to optimize resources and take how can the effort you put, or where should you put the effort, you can get maximum results. So that's the idea. And I was just thinking, like, what's the kind of opportunity we all are sitting on? So I was just going through different phases of leverage. One form of leverage which still exists today is people. You have more people working for you, you have that leverage. Anybody, it's this is why it's hard to disrupt largest, biggest players, because they can just pivot quickly because they have more people working. And in past, kings and uh, different states have these leverage, and they can do things like build whole pyramids if they wanted to, because they can just throw people at things. Then came the world of capital. So if you have money, it's another form of leverage, because if you had money, then what you can do is you can send voyages, you can send different ships to different places, and if you can discover them, then you can go and set up your colonies, and then you can have more taxes. And if you can collect more taxes, you can send more voyages. So capital became the next leverage. Uh, but how can you get into any of these? Either you need to be born, you need to risk your life, or you are ready to have special skills, which lot of risks. Like, even I was reading somewhere, like, one out of 1,000 actually sailors survived who actually discovered anything. 9,999 actually died during these venture capital funded startups of that time. And if you are one of those 999, you still went ahead, and this is what it took you to get into the capital game or play this game of capital. Still, very few people can actually get to this kind of leverage. So, leverage by people, leverage by capital. And if these two existed, then we converted into democracies. So, people became a leverage. So, if you can influence a lot of people, and influence came by media, and there you can see, like, how America, or you can say all NATO countries, have a soft power where they control how information travels. And same, a contradiction of that is how China actually able to challenge US, or pretty much have a second most, uh, I would say, power or money, because they controlled media. And I just took example of News Corp, which owns all these media houses. I know with next leverage, they have less and less influence now. But imagine when there was no Facebook, nothing, and all you watched is TV. And if you are the company which owns the news network on the TV, which everybody in US watched, or everybody on can be broadcasted to everywhere in the world, what kind of leverage you had at that time? So that, I think, is a third form of leverage. So we have people leverage, capital leverage, media leverage, and this is the new form of leverage, which is actually you can code. And if you can code, you can disrupt all these three leverages, because anybody in their garage can wake up, build a company, share it over internet on their Twitter feed. And if they are solving for a problem that people have, they can reach them. Larry Page, you can think of Jeff, Elon, all the new billionaires that we have seen in our generation have used this leverage. And the next leverage is intelligence. And I believe all of us, hopefully after this session, know that they can also use this leverage and they can build something, because there is a new way how you can do things. Earlier, you needed to know how to code these machines. Now, with large language models, this is the first time we actually can interact with them in English and make them do things. So intelligence or domain expertise is all you need. And then you can make these machines work for you with less and less code. We're entering that phase. And my goal is, after this session, you can also claim in your CV that you have a multi-agent framework, and hopefully you have built some agents for yourself or for your companies that you're working for. So that's just the preamble. So this is where we get started. So that's the idea. If that's the idea, then let's see where we are in that revolution. So in 2022, we started, and I will stop sharing my screen so all of you can just follow me on the board. So, and please feel free to look at the slides. I'm just trying to bring life to these slides. So similar, simple applications, like you can build chatbots now. And there's a chatbot out there called ChatGPT already, or Gemini, or Claude. And you can get to this intelligence at $20 per month, correct? Then what you can do is you can build, connect, don't take their chat, but take their model. These models are also available in open source, as well as an API from OpenAI, Azure, or AWS. And then you can connect your own databases. We call it RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. And what you can do is you can actually send the query here, get the right context, and then you can send your question plus your context, which is your company information, how many vacations you have left, or what is the documentation you have to support your customers. And then when you send this information, you can actually solve end-to-end use cases for enterprise. Here also, you are able to solve Q&A, you are able to generate right emails, or summarize documents, or find key terms in a document and store them in some databases. These are the basic building block use cases. These applications, you can get $50 to $100. I think people are ready to pay you $50 to $100 if you build something like that per month. Either internally, like you have seen Amazon Q is an example, or you are seeing these co-pilots which are entering the field and then allowing you to no code add these documents, are going for this range. Per seed, per user, you can make that much money. But really, what we really want from these is not the idea that, hey, we want to have a Q&A. What we really want is, as humans, we want to have some minions. These are AI minions that actually I can scale. And I can have not one, but many minions. And if you can give them an email address, and all as a human I need to do is I can delegate a task to these guy. This is my one at mahesh.com, and this is my 100 at mahesh.com. Then I can give them tasks and go to sleep. And when I wake up, this task is done. This is the new world of agents or agentic workflows, or people are calling them LRMs, large large reasoning models, which is now you can give them end-to-end task and they will do the task for you. And how much can you charge for these? Anywhere $500 to $1,000. Because now you have a clear ROI, because you are taking on a task, which if you don't do, somebody else need to do, and who you need to pay, manage, HR and everything. But now you're able to take a task end to end. What kind of tasks can you take? You can take on customer support, you can find leads, you can actually build the first compliance report, or anything under the sun. And that's exactly where we have moved. So this is where we were in 2022, this was 2023, and this is where we are going in 2024. We'll end 2024 with a lot of agents and a lot of things. Those are actually going into production. Right now, these things are still work in progress, and there are frameworks which we will touch upon, but that's the new world which you are entering, where you can actually go and start building these things and solve end-to-end problems. This is what the idea of building agentic workflows. So, and that's where you can actually have 5x more or 10x more, or I would say 100x more on top of base model. So base model is $20 per month. But if you build an agentic workflow, which actually takes one of my problem, I'm ready to pay you $2,000. And then you have 1000x, 100x more into this equation. And that's where the value will be created of AI. And that's where I think we all are moving towards a new $1 trillion economy where new use cases will be there, which are getting from here to there. And now we will do things which were humanly impossible for us to do, which is, it's like, why can't we hire more people at DMV? Because we have limited tax dollars and the minimum wages are fixed. But what if minimum wage is 0.001 cent, which is how much it takes to compute or get you an answer using APIs? So if that can be done, you can imagine how this whole new economy can be triggered and new revenue sources can be generated, and the world economy can get to 100x. So this is, I think, the whole hypothesis of a lot of VC justifying a lot of spending without seeing an ROI now, but they are going after a world which will exist 10 years down the line, where whole GDP will be 10x, because there will be new things which we were not able to do or pay for. Even if I want to pay for, I can't just get it. I will pay for them. Like you saw the humanoid robot from Tesla 30K. That's an addition to your house. You're not letting go anything, but now have a robot in your house as well. And imagine that every house has that. So that's an additional to the economy. So if that's the world we are entering, how can you play in that world? Is coming next. So what is when I build the AI agents here or everywhere for last 2 years, let me tell you what is working or what it takes to build this last scenario. So let's say you have built some apps, you play with chat GPT a lot, you have added documents, you have RAG going, and now you want to build agents. What you need to build agents, right? So chat GPT is actually a working agent, and you have seen some of the GPTs that you build, and it has three things. One, it has memory, which is that if you talk to it once, it remembers that instruction. And if you say, hey, repeat it, it remembers what you said earlier. That means it stores everything you are saying in some kind of memory. And when you say something new, it refers to this memory and then answers your question. And you need not to do anything for that. You just get it out of box. Second thing you can do is you can add tools, which works very good. So memory and tools continue to work for last 2 year or so I have seen. And tools are nothing, but you can now get them to do things like, hey, store this in my CRM database. Store this. If somebody gives me an information, store this here. Once you store it, also make a call on the number. If somebody picks up, have a conversation. If you got the transcript, and if they say okay, dispatch our team to fix their house or renovate their garage. Right? We'll see some of the scenarios today where all of this works end to end. So that's the idea of tool, that you can actually have them attach and do actions. And how you do actions is because you can attach and tell them that, hey, you can do these actions. And actions are nothing but API calls that they can make to update a database. And if the database is updated, you have some automation behind the scenes which can do your work. Or you can say, hey, these are also tools you have that you can call people. And then you have another tool which can take transcriptions. And then you have another tool which reads the transcription and takes the action, which is dispatch or assign this job to a human who can go and fix my garage now. Right? So these are the things that exist for you as tools. So now you have memory tools. And the third thing that you need is reflection. This is the idea that, hey, if you do something, can you reflect back and see, have you done it correctly? Is it working? If not working, can you try it again with different plan or different reasoning, or look at the error and bring a human back and say, hey, by the way, you did not told me that where is your garage? Did not give me the address. Can you give me the address? Which is great. I can give you the address now. And by the way, I was solving this agent as my garage looks very bad. And I was looking today morning to see how can I get into an awesome garage or hire somebody to get my garage into a perfect shape. So now reflection is the last thing where you can reflect back on the results and change your actions or check if it is done or not. So these are the three things which makes an agent. And you get them for free when you use chat GPTs or GPT agents. So if you have ever created an GPT on chat GPT, then you can already claim that you have actually built an agent. That was the first agent. It's no code agent. You can build it, you can use it, you can also share it with people, take feedback, iterate, and you need not to code. You just need to change some prompts as you go. So that's the world we live in. So these three things are working. What's not working is more interesting. What's not working is you need a plan. So for simple things like answering customer questions or booking or storing some values in CRM, all these scenarios, I think continues to work. But if you're trying to solve complex problems, like you're saying, hey, can you check these documents and am I compliant for all the European Union laws? Then accuracy becomes a thing. And the challenge here is that planning is something these models are not designed to do. They are basically trying to predict the next word in a sentence, and they don't know how to create plans. They have some learned reasoning capabilities. They are trying to fake you, but actually they don't. And second is one agent can't do everything. You have to have some kind of lot of break it into smaller tasks, or I continue to call them AI minions, And then you need a framework, how they will talk to each other, how will they access a common memory, how will they coordinate. All these, you need a framework. You don't want to build this, and that framework is still in progress. So these are the two things that is work in progress. And that's why you joined my session, because things which are work in progress is opportunity. It's a leverage that you can have if you can make it work. And next we will see how can you actually make it work. And I already discussed like what are the challenges. So let's go to the next phase of our discussion. So now we know there's leverage to be done. Now we know where we are. We want to build agents. Single agents are working, but they are only doing basic things. But if you want to do complex things with them, best of luck. Or then if you want to do one hack of planning is, can you divide them into smaller pieces and then solve it? So I will just pass through some of these slides. So this is just, we are saying this is a challenge. Jan LeCun, who is the VP or head of AI at Meta, have said the same thing many times. He has an awesome talk on Lex Fridman podcast. I would highly recommend you listen to that, so you can see like people overhype things, and he gives a lot of examples on how these models can't reason, and even the latest models can't reason. It's a system now. It's not the model which is reasoning. It's a system around it, and what that system should look like. So if you want to build a system which can plan or reason, then that system has to have four things, which is not new to us. Order is always there. It's how we trained our pilots, which is anybody know order? Okay, no question. Sorry. Let's just continue. So you observe what is the current situation, what is the reasons you want to change, how bad you want the change for. Then you orient yourself, then you make some decisions, and then you act. And if you take the same analogy and if you take it, you ask a question now, it doesn't go directly to the model. The model is behind this orchestration layer or this agent layer. And the memory update triggers an orchestrator. An orchestrator will decide which agent to call. And let's say it has many agents. And then we will reflect. And if we have solved the problem, then we can go to the customer. If not, then we'll go update the memory. We'll say, hey, now this is other agent job. And you can continue in this loop. So what are the three things you actually need to go build? You need to build a multi-agent framework. So you need to divide and conquer, because doing it alone in a single call is not solving. So the second ask is, how can you divide every problem? Like I was dividing, my single agent was doing so many things. I have a garage that needs to be renovated with minimum cost and maximum benefits. Minimum cost, maximum. I like yellow color walls. That's who I am. My agents, one agent should be, I need many agents for this. One agent should be able to do the research on internet and find out which are the top companies with highest ratings. One agent should be able to go to their websites and fill a form, because everybody was just telling me to fill a form. Say, oh, you want a free quotation, you want this, then hey, go ahead and fill this form. So this agent goes and fill all these million forms and say, I need help. And this is my negotiation agent who knows how to negotiate a lot of things. And what it does is it does negotiations. So now I have research, form fill, and this is my negotiation, my negotiator. And now I can just give them this task, and I
Mahesh,
imagine
we can't see
they
the
will
board.
coordinate.
Can you turn off screen sharing?
Oh, thank you. People get points for that, by the way, in the class. So, so these are the three agents I have, and they can talk to each other, and now they can build these things. So, so to build these, I can just define them, and they should work. Correct? So now let's go and see how you can actually do this and build this today. And I will walk you through some examples, and hopefully then we can get to questions, okay? So there are many frameworks out there which allows you to do this. So this was Chat Dev. This is an open source framework. And what they are saying is, this is the whole company of agents. They have different departments. So this is their orchestration. This is the something that sits in the middle. And then it can say, hey, I got a new job. Why don't you go and do it? And then they design first, then they give it to the coding agent, then there is testing, then there is documentation, and then they release. And if you go to their website, which I put the link here, you can see, oh, I just put a link to their uh, file, but if you look there, people have gone ahead and built apps with these guys. Lot of people just gave a prompt saying, hey, go do this, and they assign these things to different agents, and then they can build hello world apps. They can take your expense and track your expenses. This is like they build end-to-end games, and this is just a prompt, and then you can see how it is built. So that's in open source. And what I'm going to show you, and I put crew.ai and autogen from Microsoft also for you to read further, but we also created a lab where you can actually do all this step by step. And hopefully, if you join our community, which we'll link, we will share, if you run into problems, we will be able to help you also. So this is the first lab, which allows you to do one job, which is, hey, you can build a GPT, and if customers are interested in your work, they can actually, this can store leads for you in a CRM. So this is the first part I was talking about. Single agent, you can actually do it. Our team has done it. So most of the people who attended the cohort have already done it. So here, what you do is you basically create a a agent, a GPT, and then using this, you can actually attach a CRM, and we walk you through step by step what it takes. So in the end, what you do is once it is ready, you can just go in and start having a conversation with your agent, where you upload a contract, you ask for terms in the contract, and then all the things that are in your contract are added to your CRM automatically. So upload a contract, say, hey, give me the top 10 things which our company care for, and then you click a button and they are added to a CRM. So you are saving a lot of work because some human need to go read the contract, find these terms, put them in an Excel, and then Excel to CRM or manually enter them. But now all this is automated because you upload the contract, it automatically find these terms, and then it inserts this table directly to Airtable. So this is the idea of having a memory, a tool, which is Airtable in this case, and attaching, taking an action based on what customer wanted. But the most interesting thing is not a single agent, but how about having a multi-agent? And for this, we build it in Vortex. And what we did is we take this hypothetical scenario of building it for a car repair shop, and you can actually chat with it. And it's all built with English. So here, you can go to console.googlecloud.com, and then you can say, hey, I want agent builder. Once you reach agent builder, by the way, Google gives you free credit, $300. And if you have a startup, you can get up to 300K for free. That's why I believe this is the best time to go build your stuff or start your company, because there's just so much money floating out there. And that's all you need to get started, because now you can use that money to build intelligence, and people are ready to pay for that intelligence. So we built this car repair thing, and all we did is we just explained who you are. So in plain English, say who you are. You are a car expert in car mechanics who know how to diagnose and repair cars. Your name is Mandy. And then you said, hey, you can answer car related questions. Here is a tool. We also attached a tool, and it shows you how in the lab you can learn how to attach a tool. We use Google API. So if you ask me like, hey, I want to get a service, I can ask you where it is and give you service centers nearby. That is the idea. And then we attached another agent, which is the CRM agent. So we created two agents. And in this lab, I'm going to show you how they're going to talk to each other, which is nothing. You can By the way, all this is open, so you can take the lab and do it yourself. It's step by step. And if you run into problems, you can ask the questions on Slack, and hopefully somebody will walk you through or help you out. If nobody answers, then it comes to me after a week. So I will help you out. So in this, we attach, you can also attach sources, data sources, and you can see in this, we have attached our own company uh, web page, and it will crawl that page, and every information now in that page, it can answer questions also. So let's quickly run it. So in this case, I will just say, hi. Sharmista is like, Mahesh, can I do this now for my DPO? Okay, great. Hi, how can I help you? I need to service my 2017 Ferrari in LA. Ferrari in LA, can you find places for me? Great. So what it did is, based on this, it automatically took an action, and it's showing me here what the action was. I can see what happened here. It actually called this API, the Search Places API, and sent this text Ferrari service in LA. And these are the things that Google Maps service returned. And that's what it is returning me here. And you can actually debug if there is a problem. You can also see, reset the conversation. You can replay. You can find like debug trace of this, what happened, how the model thought, what actions were taken, and all. So you can learn while you are building this. And so far, all English, and you will see some like APIs or something stuff, but we gave you everything. So you just need to copy paste at this point and build your first one. And as you start building, hopefully it should not be a lot of code. Means 30 minutes or all you need to get any API out there. People have posted there. So it's mostly copy paste and writing a good narrative here. And I think a mechanic will do a much better job than me. And then you're saying, hey, do you want me to connect you to them? And if you say yes, it can also call the second agent, which is the CRM agent. And now it's calling the CRM agent. But before it calls it, it knows that agent needs this information. So it's calling the human agent to say, hey, can you tell me what is this updates? And I can say, hey, by the way, my name is Mahesh. This is my number. And I live on this place. And then it goes and figures out what to do next. And you can say that it now called the Airtable CRM. And in that, it called this new tool. And that tool actually went ahead and added this information to my CRM system, which all of you can have right now. That's all I had. So I have a couple of more things. I teach a course, of course. I teach a course and I have a community. My goal is to, whatever I learned in last 10 years, to bring that to all of you. And we do these Saturday sessions for almost 2 years now. So I'm doing it since ChatGPT was launched, but we're doing it at different forums. We're trying to consolidate in Maven now. So hopefully you will see the Saturday session. We have a Slack channel which people will paste a link. If you have the link, then it's just in the slide deck also. And if you want to join the course, then here is our course. We are starting it on October 30th, which is 10 days from now. If you join right now, you can get to the course material now, and you can have access to a lot of people who are in this call, like Sharmishta, Sagar, Yeting. These are all amazing people who are actually building projects right now, and hopefully we can see their projects also soon. With all that, I want to stop and we can do Q&A, but that's all I have to share today. If anybody wants to drop, you can drop. But I think the most interesting part is when you ask questions. So that's the last part, Q&A.
Mahesh, there was a question which like comes quite often on our LinkedIn page. People do ask, like there are a lot of people who don't have technical background. So how can your course help them get into AI? If you can clarify on that.
That's a very good question. I think that's why we built the course, because what I observed is that in the new world, you don't need to be technical to build these things. What you need is domain knowledge. And I see a lot of people around me who are struggling. I saw that a lot of people are struggling to get into that, thinking people are throwing these complex terms like RAG, backpropagation, transformers. And how can you make sense of all this in like humans? So that's the first idea that I think the course does an awesome job of. And second, I think more people are needed to build these things correctly. So we had a lot of people in the past where UX experts, where people had no coding background, and I saw them thrive through the course. So I'm pretty confident that if you come join, you will be great, because we go to the very basic level. We teach templates, and we have covered a very different section for people who actually want to do hands-on, get into the details and all. But what you need to build is basic frameworks, which is how will you evaluate the model, how will you make the trade-offs, and how can you actually price and reach your customers. And this is not changing. But the whole underlying hypothesis which you had, for an example, that earlier you were like, hey, let's not build the MVP unless you have extreme clarity, you will not get in AI. So how you build with less clarity and a lot of ambiguity is what we teach, uh, or what we try to convey based on my experiences. So I think that's my message or answer.
But there are a lot of like free resources on internet, like even like someone like me would also think. So why I shouldn't go for the free ones, like free videos?
No, I think definitely go for the free ones. I won't stop anybody, and that's the whole idea of having Saturday session. I think the course just differentiate as if you spend like, it's an ROI on your time. And what happens is, if you spend a lot of time, it takes like 6 months to a year. If you're trying to learn what we teach in a course in 4 to 5 weeks, it will take you 6 months to a year. And if you have that much time, I highly recommend you to join us every Saturday, follow along. In a year you will be there. So I think that's number one. Number two is just, I think a lot of information on internet or people which are sending for free is not relevant to product managers. What I found is, I didn't teach this course for 6 months. I took a break last year to ensure that, hey, can I teach it for free? And then I found that the building blocks, like setting up your evaluation, actually coming up with the basic MVP, what you need to include, what you need not to include in the MVP, how will you price this product, and how you iterate fast in a project environment. They needed a lot of attention and a lot of timing investment. And I thought, without this course, it's just hard for me to do. So that's why you should join if you want to accelerate, if you want to learn by doing, and you want to have a community. If you don't want these three things, yeah, I think I will be here every Saturday anyways.
Got it. Yeah. So we do have a few more questions. Questions asking, how can we build a production version? Yeah, of multi-agents. Any recommendation on the current tools available in the market?
Yeah, so I think this is a good idea. So that's what I was talking about earlier. This is a very good question, because building something from these open source stuff like LangChain and all is possible, but how can you take it to enterprises? And that's where I think the Vertex example, that's why we took the Vertex example. Because if you build on Vertex, we are giving you APIs after this, and you can integrate, and you get the same cloud support which you get for every API. So I would say start with a multi-agent framework which is backed by the cloud providers. I know two: Bedrock for AWS and uh, agents agent builder from Vertex. Start there. They're not they're a little behind than AutoGens of the world or Clue.ai of the world. But I think if you're going for production, you will get enough by starting with the cloud providers. And start with this lab on Vertex, and we happy to point you to another lab if you are in AWS shop.
Dragon has asked, can we integrate the model to any domain? How about selling insurance or let's say annuities policies to customers? Currently, agents manually go to customers and convince them to sell policy. So can this be done online with the model?
Exactly, right. Means this is just an example, and if you wake up tomorrow and say, I want to just do it for my industry and my industry does this X thing, by all means, you should be able to. Means that's what the whole idea is. And we have another one where we generate another lab where we did in the same community session where we generate leads for solar panel installation. Because in California, a lot of people are just trying to reach out to customers and get solar panel installed because the government is incentivizing. It's almost free for you to get that done. But now you need to reach out to these people. And then there are then there are companies on the other side which are ready to do it for you. So how you build leads for that, you can use the same lab, repurpose it for your insurance example, and build something right away. Should be a day work if you build it on top of what we already have. It also has a fancy UI, by the way. So best of luck. Feel free to raise your hand and ask questions also. I will stay back for 5 more minutes. Getting any questions?
Ragin has asked the question again, which I just asked. Is it mandatory to have technical background for getting into AI world? Ragin, we just got this answered, but you don't.
Yeah, so I think we just answered it, right? If you have other question, we can take it.
I have a corollary question.
Go ahead, Aaron.
So I do have a technical background and I'm in an intensive machine learning engineering program. So given that, what would you recommend as a good pathway to go down the agentic AI path? Because I'm struggling with too much depth, too much breadth in terms of all the technical avenues to go down. So, but I do want to leverage that to make, what I can offer, more specialized.
Yes, I think there are two paths for you, Aaron. One is, are you trying to build an end-to-end product and sell to customers? Then the learnings are a little different than just building. So that's one path. And second path is you're trying to get into product management and you have a technical background. Which path you are on before I answer?
I mean, I'm more, I would say more on the product management side, but I have a lot of engineering background. But I'm more suited, I think, as a product manager who is technical. It's a job role, but I guess I'm asking you more on the entrepreneurial level, like it's kind of vague what I'm saying, really. But you kind of addressed, well, people with non-technical background can do this, but what about a person with a technical background? What's my best way to apply that?
I think you need to see how can you actually build a product requirement document, which we do in the course, or anybody like happy to like share offline, like the template at least with you. You need to see how can you bring that idea on paper and then step by step execute it, create a plan for it, first for yourself as an engineer, and then go and execute it because you have that advantage also. You need not to hire somebody. So my recommendation to you would be first figure out what is the narrow, smallest thing actually test, and then create an evaluation criteria. We follow this triple H framework, which is helpful, honest, and harmless. And then put the criterias on each, and then see how will you evaluate. Create a data set of right answers or wrong answers. That wrong answer you should want to avoid, right answer you want to see, and then see just with bare minimum GPTs on ChatGPT, see how far can you go. And then you keep adding new things. And when you do that, start building your architecture also. And I think out of this exercise, you will have two things. One, you will have a PRD, and second, you will have a working prototype. And from there, you can start talking to your customers, start taking real feedback, and then it's an iterative loop from there. You will refine your PRD. Maybe you have not targeted the right segment. Maybe your trade-offs are wrong. Maybe your MVP features are bad, or you're not getting the accuracy. If you're not getting the accuracy, then you should hire more engineers, or you should learn more. That's the engineering side. But I think a lot of work need to happen on the product side, and that's where the templates can help you, which is like a template on how can you, what to build, what not to build in MVP, a template which helps you how to evaluate the models. So I think you need more product fundamentals, and then if you build with that, start with that first. Building an MVP should be easy, and that's your advantage. So you should combine these two and have a PRD and then have a working prototype. Reach
Okay,
there
so start
and
with
then
more of the
we can talk.
softer. the softer non-code development, and maybe even use no-code tools for MVP and stuff until we have a good business model, and then leverage my technical understanding to carry it further. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I'm saying have an extreme clarity on what you're building, why you're building, and how can you evaluate it. Once you have that written on paper, then go and build your first one with no code. And then see the evaluation that is your hypothesis even right? Can you actually build something which meets the customer expectation and meeting your evaluation criteria for very first build?
Right. That's great. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mahesh,
Thank you.
question. Unless somebody else wants to go, Kalpan here.
Of course, they have raised hands, Kalpan, but you get a pass. Go ahead, Kalpan.
I don't see that for some reason, but really quickly, multi-agent framework. Is there any intra-agent call or API slash ability in the context of I built an agent and my friend built another one, and another third person built a third one, and how do I really make it multi-agent capability?
Yeah, so what happens is, I can give you an example of the company, and then we can discuss like how it works. So if you take the lab that we have, imagine that these are like two agents right now. So here we have one agent, which is this car repair agent, and this is a CRM agent. This your friend would have built, and the CRM agent job is, hey, it asks for information, and then it enters in the CRM. The car repair agent can actually talk to the customer, and this CRM agent can be built in the same project. Till the time it's in the same cloud project, you can use it. And if I add you to my project, you can actually build one more agent on top of it, which is, let's say, has a car showroom agent. And car repair is just one function of it. So then it can call these two agents. Car repair, if the customer calls for only service, and then it has the sales function, which is like I want to sell, because a showroom has sales and service. So you can just build on top of it if all you need to be in the same company. So if you and your friend are building on the same cloud project, then you can change. All you have to do is just specify this, build one, and then just say, hey, for these things, use this agent. And you will just add here that, hey, after saying hi, if the customer wants service, then call this car repair service agent in that agent. So now you have three agents.
Okay, and they can do if lack of a better word, API kind of a calls and returns, right?
Yeah, it is already doing that, right? Automatically. So it called this agent, and then it called the Airtable APIs here.
Okay.
So if you look at the debug of this, you can see what happened. The customer came in here, turn one, this happened. So this is the memory dump. This is how the customer came. This is what happened. So this is what the memory, you're looking in the memory of an agent, AI agent. And then on this turn, it said, oh, conversion prompt using 140 input tokens, respond with this. And then this happened, and this happened. And then eventually you will see that it called the other agent. And then the agent called an API.
Got it.
I don't know who went first.
Hassan.
Pawan,
So we'll go with Hassan
okay.
first, then Pawan, then Shrikant.
Thank you,
Hassan,
Mahesh.
you
It
can go,
was a
please.
very informative session, and I learned a lot. My quick question is about orchestrator, role of an orchestrator. Is orchestrator also a GPT trained agent who's learned on different kind of requests, or is it something like just an internal thing where it kind of, orchestration can happen on many things? It could be load balancing, it could be functional, right? Can you talk a little bit about the role of an orchestrator in this sense?
That's a very good question, Hassan. So in this case, right, an orchestrator, I know I used a big name, but this is an orchestrator. That's pretty much an orchestrator look like. Like this is how you start. Greet, say what to do, what not to do. Tell it what kind of agents you have access to. So we are telling you have one tool access, and you have another agent that you can call, and then let it go. So this is an orchestrator for this multi-agent app. So here it's another LLM, and with instruction of its own, which is it knows that it has these agents to call, it can have these APIs, and it has like check and balances in it. And it has access to memory, which automatically you just saw the framework provides you, so you need not to code anything. So if you can write like what a showroom of a car repair does, you can change this next level and then rewrite that, and that would be an orchestration for that agent. So you can think of like an Uber agent with an orchestration layer, and then every agent has smaller orchestrations.
Thank you.
Pawan,
Pawan,
I saw your message,
please.
Pawan. Before you go, I can stay back after this call if you want to talk. But go ahead with your question, Pawan. Pawan, you're mute.
I was telling give chance to another person. I have 3 or 4 questions in seconds.
Okay, Shrikant, you go ahead.
Hi, Mahesh. Thanks for the session. It's been very insightful. So my question is, so I've been part of some of these other cohorts that you've also been in, right? Some of the other community places, right? So my question is, there are 2 areas that I find myself struggling with the lack of time in general. One is, just understanding what's the most up to date and just being on track so that I'm not getting derailed into, what happened 6 months ago, right? And get stuck with some of the older ideas and insights. The second thing is just getting to know what is the right hands-on tools that I need to be practicing, because there's just so many out there and, different things. It's just like, every hands-on takes such a lot of time, right? And my goal is, like, as a PM with a technical background, something similar to what Aaron had mentioned. So I'm wondering, one, if the course is going to be helpful, then, I would definitely want to be there. But I also want to make sure that, that these areas of concern are addressed.
Yeah, so I think when you look at like the jobs or what it takes to be successful as an AI PM, you need to understand the ecosystem, and the ecosystem is evolving. So Aaron brought a very good question. I'm just going to double click on it. So he's saying, hey, how can I stay up to date with this? Then the tech part is also evolving. You can't just come and say, hey, I need an agent which basically solves world hunger and imagine like this models will be able to do it. They won't. So you need to see the tech and ground yourself in tech. And then on top of this, you need all your PM skills, which is like, how can you build in this new world? And this is all the things. So tech is like AI concepts. Do you understand them? Do you understand them? Then have some hands-on applying these two together. So you have taken the concepts, you understand the ecosystem, but have you done some projects in AI? These are the things that you need to do. If somebody's telling you that you can just do their course and you can actually become one or actually do a good job, I think that would be a bluff. This is what I learned in last 2 years, that you need all three to do your job right. So why you should do the course? Because that's what we try to do. We focus here and here a lot in the course. And this is where this Saturday community comes in. So join a community like this one, and that should take care of making sure you stay on top of ecosystem. Like in this today, we just showed you Vertex, and if you know how to build multi-agent on Vertex, I think you're good enough to start with. And then what you have is, how can you work on the projects? I think that requires a common understanding and a team. This is where the course does a great job. It builds the technical foundation, it connects you with people, and you do projects with people while we give you templates. And end of course, you will have a working PRD, and hope cohort 2 can keep me honest, a working prototype of a project which you can actually validate with people. That's the goal. If you achieve this, then you have this whole idea of how much you want to iterate on your own. And this ecosystem, you just need to join, I would say, a community like this one, or there are many out there, where you try latest ideas, you discuss, and you have friends who you can just go hop on a call and say, hey, I read this crew AI thing, but it's failing here. And then they can say, yeah, it fails for me, don't even go further. Or they say, oh, I tried it, it fixed it like this, and then you can go further. So I think these three things, if you're iterating on, Shrikant, you're good. Or any course that helping you to iterate on these, please continue with them. I think all the instructors are doing their best. But make sure you have all the three things. That week
Sounds
on week
good,
you
yeah.
are iterating.
That makes sense. Yeah,
this is just making sure, can you run or build projects? And then, hey, are you reading the latest papers? Are you going on latest things on your own, or this Saturday community will be helpful? So join our community, I would say.
Awesome. Thank you, Mahesh. Appreciate
Okay.
that.
Hassan, I think your
We
hand
have-
is up, and I'm ready for Pawan. And we have 4 minutes, 4 questions. It will be a rapid fire
We
round.
have 2 great questions as well waiting for us.
Pawan, why don't you and me sync later? Anyways, I
okay.
need to answer some of your personal questions, right? So
Okay,
let's do a call. I will
Yes,
ping
yes.
you.
Okay. Thanks.
All right.
Karan, go ahead.
So Chaitanya has asked what kind of frameworks, let's say RISE, for example, do you actually use or prefer in your day-to-day job at top tech companies?
Yeah, I think there are a few frameworks which are popular out there. One is Reason and Act, which is React. There is a paper which says, hey, like people are asking, how can I actually go and build this orchestration layer? Because this is where the magic is happening. And I just showed you simple prompts will take you from 0 to 80% real quick. But after that, if you want to do sophisticated things, there are a couple of frameworks which are still work in progress. RISE, as you already talked about. I think coming up with your own, building on the ODA framework is your best bet. But start with Reason and Act as a basic thing, which is like, hey, how are you going to reason and how are you going to act? If you can define those two things in your English language prompts, that should be a good start. And after that, you can build on, plan and solve the next, and then go into anything sophisticated. So that's my general advice there.
Got it. And Mary has also a question. She would like to work on an agentic project to be able to push that to a big firm. And she has noticed that she's implementing AI end-to-end on their platform without using agents. So will this course help Mary with that, like
Definitely.
working on a specific project?
Let's cut it. Let's cut it. Definitely. Please join the course. We'll figure out. These are the kind of people we'd love to have in the cohort who actually are trying something and bring them and build it with people. We'll go every length to make sure this happens. And some of those projects are already there. Like I'm already invested in what Yating is building, and Yating did it last time, and she added a lot to the cohort than what we could have added. So I'd love to have people like you. So please join. That's basically, and then don't worry, like I have a lot of experience in this, and there are a lot of people who have an awesome feedback. So talk to Madhu, talk to Yating, and see how can you accelerate this journey, because you will continue to think in your head, but you can just come here and get it done. And focus on the things which is differentiation for you, not the things which you can learn by doing 3 sessions with us or reading our material. Aaron, bye. Take care. But stay close. Okay, then I think we can conclude because I need to go to Pawan, and Pawan has a lot of questions as well. By the way, Pawan is from our last cohort. That's why we are telling him to wait. So Pawan, let's just chat. I will ping you on Slack, and maybe we can jump on a Slack call. Thanks again for joining, and thanks for staying back. It's always amazing to see you all. And people in cohort, don't feel that bad. It's okay. We'll meet next Friday, and hopefully this format works. And please bring your questions. We'll figure out how can we have preference for you, and just put your questions, and we will bring it on. Okay, and we'll meet on Fridays. We'll continue to meet on Fridays till you ship your projects. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mahesh.
Thanks. Thanks, Mary.